How do you value something you can't see? And how do you manage, it's particularly in collaborative projects, and I guess even across the different disciplines within different, how do you assess where you're adding value?
Well, for us, it's two-way. In terms of clients, then what we do is to make sure that we're not commodity, where we're judged in terms of, well, I can undercut you, any fool can offer advertising and design services and digital services. What you've got to do is make sure that you're offering services that people can see as tangibly having a value, and a value that's greater than the competition. So for us, what we try and do is make sure that we demonstrate what the value is of the work that we do for our clients. So that's showing payback. It's showing what was generated by what we've done, how we've pushed perception, whether that be pushing perceptions on, or whether it be sales inquiries, or whether it be changing behaviour, a variety of different tools. And it might also include what would have happened if you hadn't have done this marketing activity, what would have happened to your sales curve if you hadn't invested that amount in marketing. So it's working at the hard bit to show what the impact was that you actually did at the same time. Secondarily, we work really hard at service to make sure that we wrap ourselves around our clients. Everyone says that, but we're actually quite a schizophrenic organisation with clients, because we've got certain clients who need to be looked after in a certain way, and they want the culture of the agency to be the same as their culture internally. They can't understand the way that an agency might run itself. So it's very hard for our staff, because they've got to be hugely flexible. They've got to, one minute they've got to work in a very touchy-feely way with a particular type of client. Then the next minute they might be working with a retail client who's very hard-edged and very business-focused. It's the same people often who are running on both those accounts. So they've got to be very good and very adaptable at being able to fit into those types of cultural requirements. But if you don't do that, you're dead. You're dead in the water, because you do just become a commodity provider of this, that and the other.
And I mean, you've gone, we'll come back to the actual process of the exit, but you went through a situation where you had to really understand the value of your business.
Yeah, and it is very difficult if you're putting a financial value on a business that's essentially made up of a bunch of people. And in our case, our model was not like an agency, as in we don't have retainers, no one pays us every month to deliver film for them. It's project based. So from one month to the next, you could in theory lose all of your clients and have nothing. You have your overheads, you have your people, but you've got their skill base. But what we did quite early on was realise that we should systemize the whole approach and the whole process that we used, because nobody was really doing that, to make sure that our customer experience was exactly the same in every project. And the only thing that's different is the creative. So we spent a lot of time working with clients at the beginning to establish what their problem is. And sometimes it's not what they thought it was. So you add value that way, you help them understand exactly what they're trying to communicate and who they're trying to communicate it to, and then you work out the clever bit, which is how you take the message and get it out there. Which was virtually impossible to measure. That it's getting easier because most of our films are now online, so we can sort of get analytics and stuff on that. But in terms of actually coming up with a financial figure, we had no idea how they were going to value our business, because it was a young business, only 5 years old. We'd grown year on year. The market was also growing year on year. But actually what we could say was we were scalable, because we'd systemized to the point of building a bit of software, designing it, and then getting it built by Rob, actually, when he was at Fusebox, and having that something solid, so we could say, look, we can employ 1,000 people, they can all log in online, and we can assign jobs online, and we can see where they're going, track them, all that kind of stuff. And that was what got 10 Alps' attention, because what they wanted at that point was to complement their massive ad sales team. They were selling for 600 titles, which they were taking online, and they wanted to put video on those online versions of their magazines. And a lot of people were going, I don't have a corporate video. So they would then say, well, we'll sell you one of those too, and here's a company who can deliver it. So that was what attracted them and what added value for them. For me, we grew as a team, we grew as a business, and we added a lot of value to our clients. And we had some pretty impressive client names on there as well. I think 10 Alps had one eye on those going, well, if they're working for Nike and Nestle and the NHS and stuff, we can sell extra services into those clients as well. So there's all kinds of ways of valuing it, but really we could have come back to us and said, we'll give you, we'll give you sort of 100 grand or we'll give you £1 million, and it wouldn't have surprised me really, either if they come back with 100 grand. Luckily they didn't. But.
And it's, the economy's been extremely tough over the last couple of years. As I mentioned earlier on, it's a horribly competitive environment. The proliferation of, there's a new web design agency and there's a new designer starting every day. How do you maintain differentiation? How do you keep clients loyal? I mean, you mentioned, Rob, that very often you come to the end of a project and that's it, although you said as well that people need to come back to you. How do you keep that loyalty? How do you keep that differentiation in the marketplace that means people will keep coming back to you?
It's about the product at the end of the day. You've got an experience, the journey that they have with you. Again, it's quite a tricky one. The nature of the web industry is that you build somebody a product and they don't come back for another 3 years when they need something else. But we do work with a new startup utilities company, and the guy can't get enough of software that we deliver from here. Come up with a new idea, and next week he's in, wants to spend more money on this, and because he sees that he's getting value for money. Having said that, we will develop a brochure site for somebody, and that's all they need. They don't need anything on that, and then we'll have to go out and find another customer to come in for 3 months' time to fill the next role on that. So, but I think again, word of mouth is very good. If you put out a good product, people are more than happy to go out and tell other people that you've developed a good product. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about quality.
Ben?
Yeah, I'd endorse that. We work very hard to try and make sure that we deliver a great experience for the clients, because obviously retention is just so vital to anyone moving forward. Like the other guys, we're on a combination of retainers from clients and also projects. And of course, as you say, it's no surprise that in the last 18 months we've seen a great deal more projects and a lot less retainers, which has made things very, very challenging, because your cash flow is going like that and your costs are going like that or like that. So we've had to work very, very hard to make sure that we're on top of what clients want to achieve, both in terms of business outcomes and your classic key performance indicators, but also what their emotional state's like and psychologically where they want to go as well. It's very important for us to try and get under the skin. Is this a client who really wants to do something, or are these people treading water? Do they just want to trot out the same old solution they always have done? How far can we push them? How far can we make a difference? How far will they let us make a difference? So, trying to work out those side of things is equally important. Typically, if you're tendering for a piece of business at the moment, I'm sure the guys will acknowledge, you're in a situation where you may be up against 100 people in a tender situation. So, you've got to make sure that you're on your game in terms of being able to prove that you can add value to someone's business or organisation, and that you're going to make the experience an enjoyable and good one. So it's pretty challenging, but orientating yourself to what people need and what they perceive they need is really, really vital.